Moments of Silence, Inc. and BlueSuicide.org would like to thank the following organizations for their continued support. Thank you to the members of the New Jersey State Police Pipe Band for their support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to the Paterson Police Department PBA Local 1 for their support to end blue suicide. Thank you to the Passaic County Sheriff's Department PBA Local 197 for their support to end blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Alex from Tri-State Health and Wellness for his continued support to end blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Aiden for his constant support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Troy Mall from Fetty Ford for his support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Michelle Hendershot from Mortgages for Blue for her support to fight for blue suicide. Thank you to the Oasis team for their support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Doblin from At Home Sleep Solutions for his support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to all who have donated to Moment of Silence through Facebook.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Leo McGuire, the former Bergen County Sheriff. Thank you for joining Moment of Silence for this epic event to discuss a pretty heavy topic, blue suicide. And I know this is a new world that we're living in today. However, we're not going to be doing these things tonight. We have to reach out to each other, to support each other in this very difficult time. So tonight, thank you for joining us in Moment of Silence to bring this blue suicide event. To start out, we're going to start as patriotic Americans with the national anthem by the daughter of our founder, our leader, Danny Del Valle, and his daughter, Alyssa Del Valle. And then we're going to have a moment of silence and a rendition by the New Jersey Pipes and Drums, Police Pipes and Drums of the Blue and Gold. Alyssa, please join us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
outstanding New Jersey State Police. Once again, that's a fitting start to a pretty big topic that we're going to discuss tonight. As a founding member of the Moment of Silence, it takes leadership, it takes vision, it takes forethought to move forward with events like this and many of the other events that you've seen in the past had you have joined us. But there will be more events in the future. So I'd like to introduce our leadership, our president of Moment of Silence, retired Patterson PD Detective Steve Olympio. Steve, please join us.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. It is a true honor to be the president of Moment of Silence. And tonight, I want to thank you for joining us and making us feel like family. Blue suicide is now needed more than ever. Blue suicide has become the voice for so many of our officers who have taken their lives. So please stay strong, because now, the way the world is going, we're needed more than ever. I have realized that in the past, suicide was the front runner of helping the first responders with dealing with psychological issues. But picture going from job to job and seeing people die in your arms. This is going to create a long-term effect that Moment of Silence, along with Blue Suicide, has to step up and fill in the gaps. Because there's nothing worse than seeing or reading the paper where another police officer or first responder has taken their lives. And now what I've noticed is that the medical industry, the medical field, and nurses and doctors are experiencing the same post-traumatic effect that we get from working as first responders. So please stay strong. Thank you for being with us tonight. We have some great guests who are going to speak about facts, the truth, and what it really means to deal with suicide. So please wear your mask so we could one day, once again, be all together and live life the way we're supposed to be. So thank you so much. Leo, thank you so much, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Steve. And again, we can't thank you all enough for joining us, whether it's now live or in the recorded version. What I'd like to do, though, is highlight bluesuicide.org, www.bluesuicide.org. Get more information. Stay connected with this event and other events in the future. And also, reach out to us. Send us an email. Send us a Facebook message. Ask us for more information. We'll send you some pictures of this card that I have in my hand, and it's probably difficult to see, but basically, it tells the story of Blue Suicide, A Moment of Silence. We care. If you or someone you know has an issue that is affecting them, just as Steve had said, post-traumatic stress. So instead of just talking about Blue and those of us in law enforcement, let's talk about first responders. Let's talk about the healthcare industry. Let's talk about our brothers and sisters in the fire service, EMS. We're all in this together, and we need you to join with us to make this team even bigger so that not one more life is lost to suicide. So I ask you to do this. If you have a friend, a colleague that you feel is being affected by the issues that face us today, even more now than ever, tell them how much you care. Question them about what's going on in their life. Persuade them to get some help, and then refer them to the help that is out there. Go to bluesuicide.org or momentofsilence.org. Trust in the fact that you can get better. If you're in a dark place right now, trust yourself. Trust that we can help you, and your friends and loved ones are there for you. Communicate how you're feeling. The old days of how we used to sweep this under the rug are over. We have to be there for each other. So communicate how you're feeling. And lastly, believe that you can get better. There is no doubt, and some of the speakers that we're going to have here today are going to speak about their not only efforts to help others and or how they've successfully helped themselves to date. So with that, I want to remind you that last year, 2019, we had 146 line of duty deaths. 146 of our brothers and sisters are no longer here. 146 families are torn apart by violence. Yet that 146 pales in comparison to how many of us have taken our own lives across this great nation of ours. And that's something we can help prevent by working together. You know, today's May 11th. National Police Week has started. Back in October of 1991 was the second candlelight vigil, but it was the dedication of our National Police Memorial down in Washington, D.C. And for 30 plus years, I went down to Washington, D.C., and I participated in remembering those lives that were lost. And you know, on our wall of over 20,000 officers killed in the line of duty, there's very little recognition of those who found themselves in a dark place and didn't believe that they could get out of it. But ladies and gentlemen of the audience, you can get out of it. And to talk more about that and the challenges that befall us in this difficult pandemic time is our first speaker is Michael Bohl. He is part of Operation Rebound, and let's bring Michael in. He is a police supervisor in Union PD, and we're very honored to have this veteran with us to talk about veteran support. As a fellow veteran like Mike and law enforcement, we share a lot of the same challenges. And with that, Mike, please come join us at the podium.
Hi, my name is Mike Bohl from the New Jersey Veterans Network and the captain of Operation Rebound Racing Team. Every day, 22 veterans take their lives. 228 police officers last year took their lives, and that number is on the rise. We all know that what's going on right now, the epidemic, is causing our police officers to work more hours than they've ever worked before and going through hardships with their families, coming home and not being able to touch their kids, and going on calls and not able to help people like we did in the past. This is a war, and I feel that when people come home from this, when this is over, we're going to have a higher number of possible suicides and people trying to hurt themselves. This is where we need to step up and identify the people that need help. Our team is a mobile outreach program that aggressively seeks out people in need. Our goal is to eliminate any type of police suicide, and for that to be done, last summer, we joined up with the PBA, the FOP, the FMBA, and joined up together and formed up an anti-suicide police suicide and PTSD campaign. And what's going to happen is we're going to go in each county, form teams, and have access to officers throughout the entire state who need help and can reach out and have people coming to their homes and spending the time to help them get through their situations. The problem is that when you make a phone call and you don't check up on people, the person has too much idle time on their hands. You need to have human contact. I know it's hard now, but we do the best that we can with the situation that arises. Our goal is to have people that are willing to go to our officers' homes, spend the time with them, and get them out of their situations and make them live a better way of life with society. To do that, we need to all work together and come together. I'm asking people that are listening to this to check us out, njvn.org, sign up, and become a mentor. A phone call could save someone's life, but being a friend to someone is going to make a difference. And that's what we need in our lives today. We need more people to be out there doing what's necessary to help our police officers live through this situation. With that being said, God bless the United States and America, and thank you for having me here.
So Mike, we were giving you 10 minutes. He did 15 minutes worth of information in about 97 seconds, typical Jersey cop, running through it. How much does this cost in order to get help? How much does it cost?
We're a group of volunteers, so no one gets paid for what we do. And like I said before, we will spend the extra time with someone as long as it needs to have them live a better way of life.
So every county in New Jersey, you have resources to reach out?
As of right now, we do, and we're actually looking to grow. That's why we incorporated this state PBA, the FOP, to work with us to make it access. And we also called the FMBA as well to have more people out there per county and have government help us out as well. And this is all free service for everybody.
So give me that URL again. Give me the website.
njvn.org, or you can call me direct, 973-332-1556.
We're going to try to pop that up. I don't know if it's possible because, again, he's the Jersey cop. So if you get some of the Floridians and upstaters or what have you, they can't follow how quickly we talk.
But we never turn anyone down. If you're not from New Jersey, doesn't mean that we're not going to help you as well. We're going to make sure you get the right resources. We're a network. We lose our ego. That's the secret how we're successful. We work with every other group in the state that's willing to do what it takes to save our brothers and sisters from this suicide and PTSD.
So many law enforcement and public service folks are also veterans or are currently serving in the Guard or Reserve. What do you see are the parallels between the challenges that we have and the challenges that you mentioned in the future as we start to recover from this COVID pandemic?
Like I said before, we don't see any numbers changing right this minute because the fact is that everyone's openly engaged in doing their work and being involved in the mission. But once the mission is over, that's where the problems start to come. And like you said, or we've taken before, is that you also are now adding first responders, but you're adding nurses and doctors, and that's going to be a group that's going to need help. And we're here to help them as well. We don't turn our back on anyone that needs help. We find them the right resources. But for all intents and purposes for today, the police officer is our main concern. And when this is over, we need our other officers to identify them, the ones in need, and actually do something about it. We can't live in the culture anymore where we turn our back and say, I don't want to be. We treat our people that they're infected like a disease itself too. And we're afraid to approach that person or are afraid to ask for help. And that culture has to stop. 228 officers, and it's on the rise. You know, police suicides are up, and that's something that's horrible. We need to make sure.
228
was last year. It was 2019.
228 in 2019, and I mentioned 146 line of duty deaths. So that's nearly 400 of our brothers and sisters are no longer with us and their families now because of the challenges of law enforcement and being in that uniform. So you've worn several uniforms in your career. As a veteran, thank you. Thank you for standing tall. And now, as a law enforcement, you're an active law enforcement officer now, right? As a supervisor?
I work as another officer in special as an amendment.
Right. So you're still wearing a uniform, but so you're still going to the PD and you're helping out, doing whatever it is that you do, right? Still putting on that uniform, class 2, have the gun, the whole deal, right?
Yes.
So what do you see different in law enforcement today and how you're responding compared to what we were doing 3 months ago?
The response is actually slower now because people want to make sure that their safety comes first, and you're not able to. You're lowering your guard in the sense where you're really worried about your health and your safety with your family. Yeah. So you're not yourself. You're putting yourselves in situations you've never been before. You know, just because you go to a call doesn't mean that someone's not affected with the virus. So you don't know how to handle that call. So you handle every call as if someone has the virus. Right. And that's not going to make you perform as a police officer as well as you did before. Because you're thinking in the back of your head, I don't want to get sick. And that takes precedence over the job and the training that you have sometimes.
So
and that's
how does
putting
that
yourself.
Make you feel, though, Mike? Now you went to 5 calls in a row, and, you know, this thing is invisible. This thing is invisible. So you don't know. Someone might not even know if they're affected. They're just calling you for a call for service. Now you have to go home to your family.
This is
what's that feel like down here now when you're going home?
This is a depression waiting to happen. This is the perfect reason why we have PTSD, and this is what's going to happen once this is over, when they start lifting up the safeguards here and allowing you to go back to somewhat of a routine that you've had in the past. Right. And when you come home, you're going to start thinking about what has happened during this time and reflect on it. And that's where you start drinking and acting inappropriately. And this is where your brother and sister officers need to step up and identify the person that needs help and do something. We're sick and tired of being an outside person calling your agencies and being the one that helps. I'm there to do that, but I shouldn't have to be the only one. We need to have other people that work in these agencies not afraid to say, hey, I'm here to help you. What do I need to do to make your life better?
So you're also asking for volunteers here then?
Every day. That's what we do. I mean, we just got done speaking at both conventions, and we tell people, make a difference. You sign up as a police officer to serve and protect. Why wouldn't you want to protect your own? And that's what we tell people. Shame on you if you don't. You know, these are the people, your brothers. These are the ones that are going to take a bullet for you. You know, they've done studies. They've done studies on where veterans will take a bullet for someone, jump on a grenade, and police officers do the same thing. So why wouldn't you want to protect someone who's not having a problem with society's life? These are very easy things to do.
So why aren't we helping each other?
Why
aren't we standing?
Pride. It's pride. It's arrogance. It's everything that when a police officer becomes. I don't want to show weakness. You know, and if you show weakness, maybe the other people want to work with you. And that's what we need to overcome, because it's not a weakness to get help. It's smart. It shows you that you're strong. We've seen people that have been at rock bottom bounce back up and do better because they got the help that they need. And like I said, 228 is just way too many people taking their lives. That's something that we can prevent. That's the scary thing, is that we can prevent this. You know, we can be in someone's life and make a difference. And by doing that, we need to identify the people and aggressively help them. And we're giving you a free service to do it.
Right.
You know?
So I would ask anyone out there to reach out to the website again.
njvn.org and 973-332-1556.
And if you have never heard of a family member, a law enforcement officer that has not been affected by blue suicide, don't call. But if you have, which is about 95% of everybody out there, because it's touched each and every one of us. If you have, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and ask for help, or ask to be able to help. And join this posse that, Mike, God bless you for what you're doing, because you're reaching out, just like Blue Magazine, Moment of Silence, bluesuicide.org. The whole reason that we're here is to work with folks like you. We're not going to do it alone. Steve Olympio said it. But we have to continue to push forward towards our objective. Let's use some military stuff, right? Let's move forward towards our objective to a zero number, because help is out there to each and every one of us. Any closing remarks, Mike?
Just like I said, I feel that everyone has to realize how important it is to work together, especially during this pandemic. If there's someone that needs help, don't be afraid to be the person to tell them, I'm here for you. And if you want us to call, I will go to that person's house. I will do whatever it takes, spend as much time as I can with that person to help them get through this. But there are people out there willing to do it, and we need people that are willing to join our team to do the same thing, to pay it forward. This is what we need. We need people out there that say, hey, you know what? I'm here to help my brothers and sisters, and step up, because we can't do this alone. 228 people lost their lives because there wasn't people out there willing to help them. And that's not our job. Our job is to help people and prevent this from happening. So I thank you for this time and giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. And God bless the United States of America.
Great job, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're back. So just to let you know why you're going blank there and we're popping up different things, because we're actually cleaning this space after each one of us speaks. So it might look like we're a bit loosey-goosey here. I got my mask on, I got my mask off. There's only a couple of people here, well distanced, except for Steve Olympio, because you can't tell him anything. He's smarter. No, I'm only kidding. Actually, Steve is wearing his mask. I'm teasing. And I have to tease because, you know, law enforcement, we have this gallows humor. We always have, especially folks like me with gray hair, and Steve, if he didn't dye it. No, I'm only kidding. You have to laugh in the face of this terrible adversity that we're feeling and that we're facing. And I'm glad Mike was able to articulate very, very well exactly what you are all feeling now. Steve and I are retired guys. We're living life large. We're on the check it a month club and all that good stuff. But we're still out there. We're still out there volunteering our time like now, to ensure that you are as safe as you could be. We're here not only for you, but we're here for your families. bluesuicide.org, momentofsilence.org. Reach out, stay connected to us. And share these websites, share our Facebook page, all of our social media, and stay in contact, because it's you that we're working with. Folks like Operation Rebound with Mike Bohl. God bless a guy like him. And next is a story from the streets. Friend of mine that I've known since he was this big and growing. Used to grow this big, but now he's just big. I'll just call him Brad, but I've known him and his family for decades. I'm proud to know him. He's a detective from New Jersey. And with us is Brad, Detective Brad, who's going to share his story. Please join us, Brad.
Hi, good evening. I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for Blue Magazine for putting this on this evening. This is a very serious topic that needs to be addressed. So just like the sheriff said, my name is Brad, and I'm a detective here in New Jersey, and 13 years in the job, and I am a grateful recovering alcoholic. I also battle from severe depression. Okay. Ever since I was a young kid, I had a negative outlook on myself, negative self-image. And all growing up through high school, same thing. I was bullied, surprisingly, right? Kids made fun of me because, I was a kid with the red hair, the big kid, And the problem was I showed my emotions. I was emotional as a kid. And so what I learned to do was to cover those emotions. And the way I would cover those emotions was with anger. And when I got into college, right, I played football at D1 level. I was still, not completely there with myself. I still had a negative self-image of myself. And what I would do is I would drink to compensate that. And things that start getting worse and worse and worse. With drinking college, where I went to a college where you weren't allowed to drink in the barracks. You weren't allowed to have alcohol in your rooms, but I did. And eventually, what happened was I ended up getting kicked out of school right before my graduation, my senior year, and that took a heavy hit on me. Again, felt like I was a failure. Felt like I wasn't worthy enough of anything. And that's when really my depression really kicked off. I would continue to drink, and that's how I would mask everything. And as I got older, right, I made a decision to go into law enforcement, because as a little kid, I always wanted to be a cop. I always looked up to the cops in my town. And I loved what it all stood for. Because I always wanted to go out there and serve and protect. And so what do cops do? We drink, right? So my drinking took off a lot from that point on. I would go out with the guys, but I wouldn't be I couldn't shut it down at the end of the night. I always had to keep on going, right? And eventually that all caught up to me. I get hired at the current job where I'm at now. I end up getting married, end up having 2 kids, end up making getting into some elite assignments in my department, and I just started drinking excessively. I found myself in a deep, 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 dark place. I felt that everyone in my department hated me, from my chief on down. I couldn't look my chief in the eye because I thought he hated me. Because I was embarrassed, because I hated myself. I thought my lieutenant hated me in my squad. I thought my sergeant hated me. I thought everyone in my squad hated me. I thought everyone on my SWAT team hated me. And my drinking really took off, and that was in the fall of 2018. I had my last drink on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2018. And 2 days later, my wife comes home and tells me she wants a divorce. I thought my world was crumbling around me. So, I had the big house, the white picket fence, 2 kids, everything was going great. And then my wife tells me this, and I think my world's crumbling around me. So I obviously get emotional, and I storm out of the house, and I write my wife a text message saying, I'm sorry, I love you, you're not going to have to deal with me anymore. And I shut my phone off. My plan that day was to go to the top of Skyline Drive and end it, right? Honestly. But for some reason, I don't know why, divine intervention, I turned my cell phone back on and got back in contact with my wife. And she's hysterical crying, and she tells me that the police are there at the house. The first thing out of my mouth after she told me that, I said, you just ruined my career. And right there, that's when the anger and resentment came really to a head with her. I wanted nothing to do with her. I was angry with her for what she had did because I thought she ruined my life. Looking back on it, she actually helped me. She saved my life. Because it was that phone call that she made was what got me into a rehab center. A rehab center that's specifically designed for active duty military, veterans, and first responders. That place is called Warrior's Heart, down in Bandera, Texas. And when I've stepped through those gates down there, it was the first time I felt normal. It was welcome home, brother. And that really resonated with me because I felt like I was at home. And through the 42 days that I was there, I engaged in a lot of therapy, and to get past all those things that I was going through. And I got the support that I never thought I had. When I first turned my cell phone on after a 3-day blackout period, I received about 150 text messages, and it was from my brothers on the team. And that meant the world to me because I thought they hated me. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was a weak link. I literally was broken. And when I get home, I start partaking in therapy and programs and stuff like that, but I still held on to the anger and animosity and the resentment. You see, there's a difference between being sober and there's a difference between being dry. At that point, I was dry. I wasn't sober. And what happened was I fell into a deep, deep, deep state of depression. And I replaced one addiction with another. And eventually, I found myself broken again. And at that point in time, that's when my chief comes into me and says, he calls me into his office and says, how you doing? I'm doing good, chief. He's like, no, don't lie to me. How you doing? And I just broke down in his office. I'm very fortunate to have a chain of command that understands what is going on in today's culture, that understands what we go through, that cares. I am very grateful for that because I don't know where I'd be without that. I went to another rehab facility out in Arizona called Sierra Tucson, where I spent 30 days concentrating on my depression and changing the way I think. And while I was out there, I finally became very, very spiritual. And that's one of the bedrocks of recovery is getting in touch with your spirituality. I'm not saying I'm religious by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is for those who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for those who've been through hell. And I can tell you I've been through hell and I came out on the other side. And when I came back, my whole mindset had changed. I am extremely grateful now. Every morning when I wake up, I thank God for giving me another day on this earth to do His will. I thank God that I have a family that's healthy, especially in today's climate. We're all healthy. I thank God for being sober. And I thank God for having a job. I have all four of those things at the beginning of the day. I'm already winning. You see, it's very, very hard, especially in today's climate, to get down, because we're all isolated, all right? I'm actually thriving in this current climate right now because I was already isolating myself, right? For the past 38 years, I was isolating myself. Now, I learned to not isolate, and the biggest thing that I learned is to become comfortable feeling uncomfortable, to become vulnerable. It was only up until I became vulnerable that I actually started to be able to recover, because I didn't have to put up that facade anymore of being angry. Okay? I didn't have to put up that facade to push people away for fear of them actually knowing how I was feeling. Okay? Because it's all out there now, right? And I'm comfortable being emotional. I'm comfortable having feelings, because you know what? At the end of the day, right? We're all cops, right? I'm a cop. We're human. Okay? We have feelings, and it's okay to feel. Because if you don't feel, that's when there's a problem. Okay? And I just, it's a very, very important issue that needs to be broken. It's a stigma, right? The stigma needs to be broken. Okay? Because you're not weak if you raise your hand. You're not going to be looked down upon if you raise your hand. Because you're actually stronger for raising your hand and realizing that you need help. And there's people out there to help you. Trust me when I tell you that you are not alone. People want to help you. As big as I am, right? I raise my hand, okay? And if someone wants to call me weak, right, or think I'm weak, we can step outside, we can have a conversation about that. Because I am weak by no stretch of the imagination. And I just want to wrap it up by saying, I think the state is doing a tremendous job with the Officer Resiliency Program. I had the honor and privilege of going through that training to be a Master Resiliency Trainer. And they're being proactive with this topic, right, of officer mental health, right? And I'll tell you, when the time comes for your resiliency officers to sit down and train you guys and talk to you guys about resiliency, don't sit there and say this is just another bullshit training, because it's not, right? Because this training could actually save your life. Because you have to use your brain every single day for everything you do, all right? And we concentrate more on firearms and all that other stuff than we do with our brains, right? Because if your mind's not right and you're not in the game, you're a liability to your partner and to your department. So it's up to you to raise your hand. And again, I'm saying you're not weak for doing it. You're strong for doing it. And I'll tell you right now, I'll support you to the day I die. You raise your hand. Whatever anyone needs, I'm there for you. So,
if I might, if you could just stick with me for a minute, Brad. That weakness resonated with me because I think you touched on the core. Doesn't matter how big and strong you are. Doesn't matter how fast you are. Doesn't matter how quick you can draw and deal with a firefight. We're all ready to do that. Why is it that we're not ready to be brave, like you finally admitted
it's really, it comes down to a macho thing. It's that old culture, right? For the longest time, I tried to deal with the stuff that I saw on the job, the vicarious trauma that I experienced through my job, right? With my best friend Tito and his other friend Jameson, right? That's how I dealt with it, you know. But that's not the healthy way to do it.
And so how are you doing it now, healthy?
How am I doing it now, healthy?
Yes, sir.
I go talk to a therapist. I talk it out.
What about
right?
your family?
I talk to my family about it. I do a lot of things too. I do a lot of meditation, do a lot of praying, right? A lot of breathing exercises. You know, it's to better yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you have, right? Are these techniques that are going to be taught to you, right? The meditation, the breathing, it's going to calm you down. Because for the longest time, I was living at 2 speeds. I was living at 120 miles an hour, and I was living at 0. There was no in between. Now I'm riding right here in between, and I have that throttle control now.
So, you know, Mike had mentioned, you heard Mike before talking about, you know, reaching out to others, and you've touched upon that as well. What would you say to those watching, and those watching who can tell others? What advice would you give them to join with us?
Listen, that, you know, sometimes that cell phone may feel like it's 1,000 pounds, right? But, you know, lift that son of a bitch up and, you know, and make a phone call, you know, because, you know, and if you see someone who you think is struggling, okay, approach them about it, talk to them about it, bring it to someone's attention, okay, because that right there may save someone's life, okay, and if they seem that, if it, you know, find out that they're okay, oh well, you're looking out for your battle buddy. You're taking care of your partner. You're taking care of someone else in your department.
That's very good advice. And I just want to say, for someone who's known you for decades and your family, I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
I'm proud of you not only for how you were brave in facing your deepest, darkest fears when you were in that dark, dark place on the top of the mountain. And I'm proud of you for standing here in front of we don't know who's out there. Let's just hope that there's plenty who your message resonates with them, because as unique as you are as a person, your situation is not unique, and that's why we're here. That's why Steve Olympio was in front of you, and Danny Del Valle put so much effort into Moment of Silence and bluesuicide.org.
Yeah. You know, I honestly believe, obviously I believe in a higher power. That's God. I honestly believe that his will now for me is to go out there and help save lives. And it's not by, you know, going out there and, you know, running into gunfights or anything like that, which I'm trained to do, and I'm more than willing to do if it happens. But it's to save my brothers and sisters. Because I hope that through my experience, strength, and hope, it will, like you said, it will resonate with someone and say, wow, I need to raise my hand. I need help. Because that's what exactly happened to me in November 2018 when I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I heard a Navy SEAL speak. And that's what really made me realize that I had a problem.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope you'll stay around and see us at other events. We need your perspective. And again, thank you, my brother.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
So if there was any lesson that I took from my friend Brad speaking, Detective Brad, it was reinforcing what I shared with you earlier. And you can find this at momentofsilenceinc.org and bluesuicide.org. And Brad mentioned, trust, communicate, believe. Trust that there are people out there who can help you. Communicate that, raise your hand like he said, and believe that you can get better, that tomorrow will be a better day, because Brad is testament to that belief. And next up is no stranger to Blue Magazine. I think he gets a royalty every time his picture is in the magazine. I don't know what he's got on Danny, but he is always there because he's a brother like no other. He's a guy who's faced adversity, continues to face adversity today, and I'm proud to bring up our next speaker, Chris Megna. Please.
Thank you, Sheriff, for introducing me. I appreciate it. And great man, too. Thanks, Danny and NJ Blue, for bringing me out here tonight. I really haven't been leaving my house during this pandemic. I'm scared shit to catch this coronavirus. And I'm going to say to all you frontline rescue workers, you're my heroes. I did the job. It's your turn, and God bless you. You're seeing more now than you ever thought you'd imagine. I couldn't imagine what you're seeing. I'm brought here today to talk about suicide, blue suicide, that is. I mean, being a 18-year law enforcement veteran of two different departments, I've been around and seen a lot of different things. And, I'm here to tell you that mental illness, it's real. I got it firsthand. I suffer from PTSD. I feel I'm normal. Well, shit, I am normal, but I take a pill. So I'm one of those guys that, yep, you always said Megna was crazy. I guess I am, but not really. So all through high school, I was in, my story goes, I was a normal guy, normal childhood, two brothers, great mom and dad, standard stuff. And when I was in high school, I decided I was going to go follow after my older brother and go in the Marine Corps, which I did. So, I was a kind of go-getter, and I enlisted a lot of people. And long story short, I went in the Marine Corps, and my Marine Corps dream just didn't, finish. I got kind of messed up in there and ended up in a hospital. I said, wow, that's right, hospital. So ended up in a hospital, and it took me a while to figure out what the heck was going on, and a lot of therapy, and I got through it. But see, they told me, Chris, you had a lot of stress encountered in the Marines, this and that. You'd probably never be a cop. Well, they weren't taking that dream from me. So I had a nice psychiatrist. I was working through the VA, and they said to me, Mr. Megna, you don't have bipolar, you don't have any mental illness, but you have PTSD. They weren't really calling back in 1993 PTSD, a mental illness. It was like just something new that was coming out and about that the VA was figuring out. So that's what this doctor named it. And she put me on a pill that actually worked. It's called Depakote. And I take Depakote for 27 years. And without that medication, I'm not Chris Megna. So, it's hard to face, to say you're sick. And that was my biggest issue. I wanted to be a cop. I'm not sick. So my father said, take that pill, Chris, and you're not sick. And that's what I did. I took that pill every day and, went through therapy. And, the therapist didn't even think it was a good idea. So I stopped seeing that therapist because, in law enforcement, you can't have a mental illness, especially back then. You were frowned upon. I mean, I know people in my old department, guy was going through family issues. He was depressed. He said it depressed. They took his gun. Holy shit. I would never tell anybody that I take a pill. But, it's time to talk about it because so many people are blowing their brains out because nobody wants to talk about it. Well, I'm here to talk about it. And like I said, blue suicide's real. And you got to go to therapy. You got to take a pill if you need it and, admit to yourself who you are. I stopped taking that pill once, and it's funny to say it. I had a cop. I had to trust her. We were in the academy, and I said, look, she told me a secret, and I said, I got something to tell you. And I told her, and she goes, holy shit, man, you think you're going to be able to do this? I said, yeah, dude, you didn't even know. I said, with the pill, I'm fine. Well, I stopped taking it because you can't tell, people in the academy if they do a drug test. Well, the psychiatrist that I knew back in the day, she put me on a pill that it didn't, show in your urine. They weren't testing you for that. And again, it's nobody's business. I was a good cop. Can't ever take that away from me. I did narcotics. I did every job you could dream of. And I'm here to say, yeah, I took a pill and I did it. And, I had faith too. I'll tell you that, being a 3-time winner of a mental institution, that's a lot to say. And I'm not proud of it, but I was there. I was in the trenches, you know, in the dark place. Like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? So I never believed, like, I know if you committed suicide, you go to hell. So I was a big Catholic, always going to church. So I got faith, and I just prayed to God, like, what the hell's going on? And you know, things turned out better. I became a cop, started in the jails, and had a very successful career. And it's time to talk about what's going on. And if you need help, talk to somebody. And I know in your job, it's scary. You don't want to talk to people. Call Danny, call the Blue Suicide, call Leo, call whoever you got to call, but call somebody. Don't take your life, because then your family's screwed. Your kids, you know, and I drank too, like most cops, you know. Hey, you know, I took medication and I drank. That's a fucking whammy. So then I was like, even, you know, and then with everyday life too. Thank God for my wife, because there was days I go to work and, man, I was struggling because, you know, I'm trying to do this and do that, take my pill every day. If I don't take the pill, I can't function. Well, there was days I didn't take my pills because I forget. And I go to work and I come home and tell my wife how I hated the job. I hated this. And I was fucking angry all the time. And she would say, Chris, when's the last time you took your pill? And I go, what do you fucking bring that shit up for? I'm fine. And she goes, Chris, go look. Because I looked. And I'd have to look at my pills and go, the most important thing is your brain. Chris, you know you got to take your pills. So I had to, like, leave myself notes and shit. So I struggled. I'm not going to say I didn't, but I was a good cop. And I want everyone to know that. And if you have issues, don't be ashamed of it. Look down at, you know, within yourself and say, hey, there's therapists out there and there's good people and people that will help you. And like I said, you can call me. I don't answer the phone all the time, but you can call me. It's 973-417-0067. And like I said, in that dark times you have, don't take your life. Think about it. Call somebody, please. If I can get through to one person, that's what I'm here for. So thank you, everybody.
Chris, thank you. And you had mentioned 3 times being in a dark enough place that you needed real professional help. And you've been very strong and brave to stand here in front of everyone out there in virtual land and share your story. So thank you for that. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for serving in our military. Thank you for serving on the front lines as part of the Thin Blue Line. Again, with National Police Week this week, and all of the 20,000 plus names that are on the wall down in D.C. that you've seen. You heard Mike Ball talk about the 228 that took their lives last year. Where have you been? How close have you been, and how did you turn that around?
Well, Leo, I never wanted to hurt myself, but I didn't understand what the hell was going on. Like, when I was in such a place that I had to learn, believe it or not, it's hard not to even, I'm going to be strong. I had to learn how to eat again. Like I went to that VA psychiatrist and he said, look, man, he hypnotized me at the age of 18 years old and said, what you told me happened to you, the guy was in tears. So I had a long struggle. And plus my dream was to be a Marine, and I got cheated of that dream. So, you know, with PTSD, which I learned because I went through some intensive shit through the VA. God bless the VA and for veterans that served our country in war. Real war heroes, my heart goes out to you. They diagnosed me with an intermittent explosive disorder because I really didn't. When you're a cop, you can't see that psychiatrist because they could track it down through your, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield. So my family doctor was a champion because he knew me right when I came home from the Marines, and he knew I was sick, and he prescribed me my medication. I asked him, say, look, you know how I am. You've been there for me. I want to be a cop. And he says, don't ever stop taking this pill.
So Brad mentioned before about raising your hand, and it seems like you've raised your hand a couple times, and that you had trust, you communicated that need, and you continue to believe in yourself that tomorrow's a better day.
Absolutely. I'll say it to anybody, have your faith, man. He won't let you down. Just like Brad said, I'm an oblate for St. Paul's Abbey. I wasn't a perfect person. I'm not a saint. Far from it. People know me. But I believe in God, and believe me, have trust in your faith. That's what I got to say to that.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being here. Thank you so
And
much.
Leo, I got to say, Danny has nothing on me. But I just want to say that I love Danny, and
That's how much you're a giving guy. I know every time that the phone rings that you pick it up. So you handed out your phone number before. The fact of the matter is this guy answers his phone, unlike Danny. But what? Who said that? But this is a guy who cares. That's why I introduced him as a brother like no other. This is a guy who will be there for you. So thank you, Chris.
thanks, Leo. Thank
for
you,
being
everybody.
here.
Have a great night.
Again, thank you all for being here. And to wrap up this first ever event for bluesuicide.org, I remind you, brothers and sisters out there, we care. Be part of that posse to care for your brother and sister officers, to make sure that if they're in a crisis, that they trust in themselves, that there's help out there. They communicate to you, because I want you to question them, I want you to persuade them, and I want you to refer them to professional support. And lastly, that individual who might be in a dark place, get them to believe that tomorrow is going to be a better day. You've heard Chris, you heard Brad, you heard Mike in Operation Rebound. There's help out there, bluesuicide.org. And the guy who helps put all this together, the guy with vision who took Moment of Silence from its infancy and has built it to what it is today, I'd like to introduce Danny Del Valle, who's actually answering his phone at the moment.
Thank you, Neil. I first want to say thank you to every single person that participated today. As you can see, these speakers, these heroes that are speaking from the heart. I'm amazed. I really am. I'm amazed every time I hear people just give us a little bit of their heart. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that. The amount of respect, and it's just like tears inside my heart, because I really understand how hard it is to do that. I first have to say thank you to all the speakers, Chris, Brad, Michael, nothing but respect to all three of you for sharing your heart with us. I have a few things I want to say tonight, and I actually didn't want to speak, but there's certain things that took place and take place behind the scenes as you're watching it. You have real life heroes expressing a lot of things, and I have a lot of emotion, and I have a couple of messages for many of you. I first want to touch the administrations that tell us that we should do more, that we want to do more. The captains, the chiefs, the directors, the wardens, the sheriffs. I don't know. Just look at your badge. Just look at your shoulders. You know, if you have that big title there, just hear me out for a second, because I have nothing. I have a lot of emotions because of the behind the scenes, again, of the behind the scenes information that I have to absorb and understand what goes on. There's a lot of leaders in our profession that do so much for us as individuals, a lot. But you already know that we respect you. You know that because you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't respect us. But we have to address the leaders today that are either doing it because they're ignorant, because they're scared, or because they just don't get it yet. But if you're not going to help the cause, if you're not that leader that has the cojones to do something about it, to help this fight against blue suicide, if you're not that guy, then stay out of the way. Don't impede any person that wants to put their heart, their actions on the line here for everyone else. Don't stop them from doing that. Because you know why? That would make you a poser. That would make you not sincere. That would make you a person that's leading our departments and that's not really helping the men and women in blue. Straight up. That's what it means. We know that. So I'm going to speak to you from the heart. Please, rethink, reevaluate yourself, have empathy. Remember when you first started this job. Remember that time when you really, really wanted to make a difference, when you really cared. And now, understand that you now have the power. You could set the tone for many of us to fight this fight against suicide. I've witnessed administrators that would harass officers. Officers that, at the end of the day, committed suicide. I've witnessed them come to their funeral. What do we call that? Do we call that hypocrisy? Do we? Think about it. Evaluate that. You as a professional, wearing that badge, understanding the fight that we face, that many face on a day-to-day basis, and you will harass an officer. Really? We need to work on ourselves. We need your administrations to really think and understand that we need you part of this fight in order for us to have a chance to save lives. So please, reevaluate yourself. Analyze it. We need you. I also want to address the officers. We can't always blame it on the administration. That frontline officer, whether you're in the streets of Patterson, going to Hudson County, to Toms River, to a jail in Bergen County, in Hudson County, that frontline officer, you know who I'm talking about. We need you to be more of a person. We need that high school mentality. We need that to be yesterday. Because at the end of the day, we are not reaching out to each other. Why? Why do you think? Is it because you think that we're just afraid to lose our weapon? There's more to that. There's more to that. It's because we may not be doing enough as individuals to save a life. If you actually act like a person, if you cared about someone, if you weren't concerned about the rumors and the gossip and the slander, if you weren't that guy, if you're not that guy, you can actually show others that if I ever, or if anyone ever has a crisis, they can reach out to you. You know why? Because your words is not what makes you. It's your actions. So if you have great actions, if you're there for the brothers and sisters in blue, if you're really there, trust me, people will come and reach out to you for help. And that's what I want to encourage. We need to do more. Not by words. It means nothing to me or anyone. By action. We need your full support. In order to make a difference, we need all of us to get involved. That's why Blue Suicide is not just about what we're doing here. It's about what everyone is doing for the cause. Doesn't matter who's doing it. We just need to do it. Starting from you, that person that's listening to right now. Don't just pack a funeral, a wake. Don't do that. For what? That's too late there. Do it while we're alive. We need you. We need you. You understand? We need you. Finally, I want to speak to the officer that today is in a dark place. With my experience, I've really seen much more in our profession. I really believe a lot of guys and women in our profession have some type of issue mentally. Many of us hide it. Many of us don't even really diagnose it as anything. They just think it's just a way of life. It's not. If you're listening today, what we've learned, just listen to what Brad had to say. Isn't that incredible? That's crazy to have the balls to come out here and tell you and speak his heart. He's stronger than any one of us, including myself. That's hard to do. Imagine if we all took that type of approach, where we opened our hearts and we spoke to people. Imagine how it could not only help us, but your partner. Really. It's that simple. We need to speak about it. We need to feel it. We need to understand it. Not everyone, it could help everybody, but we need to include as many people as we can. Again, from unions, PBA, FOP, Attorney General, you pick. We have a lot of resources, but we're not using them. It's because we need to be better people. We need that. If you are in that dark place, understand, you have hope. You really have hope. You can start with God. You can start with Him. I've seen many speak to me and really believe that they had no hope. After dealing with professionals, after going to Florida House, after going to Arizona, after speaking to their union president, after speaking to their directors, I've seen them just transform their life and actually become people that are happy. We need more happy people. We need you to open up and say, it's time to reach out and get help. We've all been there. Many have been there. And we shouldn't be ashamed of it. I hope that my words have touched you. Everything that we're doing today is not perfect. I know someone said there's a buzzing sound. Again, it just shows you that nothing is perfect. But you know what? We can't stop because it's not going to be perfect. We're going to attempt everything that we have to do because we want to help you. Whether you want to reach out to Brad, Chris, Michael, Leo, Erica, myself, Blue Suicide, Cop Hotline, whatever it is, we're here to help you. You can start by giving us a call if that's what you want. We can quarterback that if we have to. Whatever it is we have to, we will do it because we really believe that it's enough is enough. We lost too many of our guys to this, and we just need more. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm amazed. I really am. I absorb all this, and I realize, like, wow, we will do this in the near future. I will say by next week. National Police Week is here, and my condolences go out to every family who has lost a brother or sister in blue. We feel your pain. We love you very much, and thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you to the members of the New Jersey State Police Pipe Band for their support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to the Patterson Police Department PBA Local 1 for their support to end blue suicide. Thank you to the Passaic County Sheriff's Department PBA Local 197 for their support to end blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Alex from Tri-State Health and Wellness for his continued support to end blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Aiden for his constant support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Troy Mall from Fetty Ford for his support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Michelle Hendershot from Mortgages for Blue for her support to fight for blue suicide. Thank you to the Oasis team for their support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to Dr. Doblin from At Home Sleep Solutions for his support to combat blue suicide. Thank you to all who have donated to Moment of Silence through Facebook.